Hello amazing family, this is Hadija from the Parenting Mindset Shift, a place for parents to find clarity, confidence, peace and joy in their parenting journey. And today I want to talk about Gabor Mate and why Gabor Mate's work changed my life, changed the way I parent. So Gabor Mate is a best-selling author and he's an expert in childhood trauma and addiction, and he's being a physician and a psychiatrist and being specialized in trauma specifically, and he's really giving us all his knowledge in different books. He wrote a lot of different books on addiction, like I say, trauma, and he's educating us on having a good definition of different terms. So I had a major paradigm shift in my understanding of trauma, addiction, attachment and authenticity, relationship with your body, and emotions. All of those were very vague as a definition. So for a start, addiction, he made me understand how to care for the people that are addicted without judging their drug habit is very well portrayed in his first book that he's talking about addiction. He's giving us a beautiful definition and so much compassion in the term of addiction. So most of the time when we hear addiction, we always in the blaming mindset of why is he using drug and why is he doing this like this, and we are like in the judging aspect. But when we understand that those addictions come from something way deeper, come from a hurt that is deeper than that, you come with a compassionate mindset. And for me, that was one of the aspects that to me changed the way I see so many things in my parenting, the way I see other people, the way you're not judging immediately the personality of the person, but you're focusing on maybe the environment instead of the person. What is the environment? What happened to that person, and how did they process it so they can go above any kind of addiction? And he's beautifully explaining that, and he has so many videos and books that he talks about it, and he's really trying to change the way we perceive those things. So that's the number one that I appreciate, the definition, the new definition that I had about addiction. The second one was trauma. Trauma, according to Gabor Mate, is what happened inside of you as a result of what happened to you. Again, it's not what happened to you, it's what happened inside of you as a result of that. And he's talking about the big T and the little t. Yes, there are trauma that are very obvious because unfortunately this is either a physical abuse, sexual abuse. Those things are like the big trauma regarding to the definition of Gabor Mate. But there's also those little t trauma that are the things that we cannot see because they are either emotional abuse, because this is an aspect of a need that is not met. And for us in the parenting journey, I think this is something that we may need to pay attention, because we are so focusing on saying to ourselves that we don't beat our children, we don't beat them up, they're fine, they are fed, they are clothed, everything is fine, they go to good schools, they live in a good neighborhood. But we don't pay attention sometimes and see that if the need of that child is met, depending on what it is in that moment. And it can happen so early in life. Like sometimes when I rethink, for instance, the example of letting your child cry to make them being a schedule of sleeping, for instance, this can be taken differently for different child. And an example of letting a child cry when the child needs somebody to comfort them, to reassure them. And we think that we are helping them in the long run of not going to the room. This is something that we need to pay attention. And I'm talking about this example because then there are consequences at the end that we are not paying attention when they grow up. and not realizing that there are something now that create in them a belief that is creating in them that they are not loved, that they are not enough, that the scream and the cry is not going to work. I need to do something maybe bigger. And then now you have different behavior issues that is coming up, and you kind of not understanding why. So those are the things that sometimes when there is a behavior issue, instead of again focusing on the child like that, let's look at the whole environment. Let's look at the holistic aspect of what was happening prior, what happened exactly that my child today is acting the way they act. There is always an explanation. It's not always, like I say, a big trauma. It's just that those little things that are not the little needs that are not met. And for me, Gabor Mate brought those definitions so beautifully, because I didn't think, for instance, for me, because I didn't have the big trauma, that I didn't have to deal with little trauma and the little things that I wouldn't understand why I behave the way I behave, and I wouldn't understand where are my blind spots, where are they coming from, why do I have them. And understanding the definition and term is the only way for you to address them, to acknowledge them. So that's the number 2 aspect that I love about Gabor Mate's work. The other one is about authenticity. The importance of authenticity and attachment. He's always talking about the two together. Authenticity is our ability to acknowledge our emotion, interest, and act in a way that is truly who we are and aligned to our senses of meaning and purpose. And attachment, according to Gabor Mate's definition, is a drive to connect with a caring other and feel to be seen by that person. And what I love what he talked about when he talked about those two, and the importance of us parents to pay attention of those things, is attachment and authenticity goes together. But those are important needs for any human being. So if a child, and he's giving an example of if a child is screaming and the parent is upset because the child is screaming and is angry, he's going to understand that being angry makes mama and papa unhappy. So therefore I have to repress that and not look like I'm angry, because I care about the relationship that I want to have with my mom and dad. So now they're sacrificing their authenticity to be able to have this attachment that is more important for them. But what happened in the long term is, instead of us parents explaining that it's completely natural to have those emotions, you just need to manage it differently, instead of being there with them and making sure that they know how they feel and it's okay to feel this way, you guide them in how to master those emotions. We just ground them because they got angry, so then now they're suppressing that. Now they become somebody that is completely different, because now they have to act in a certain way in front of mom and dad. And those kind of behaviors start so early, and we don't realize the way we talk, the way we say the things to them. So then that changed that dynamic. And then suddenly we realize, but who is that kid talking like that? And then sometimes they burst into anger, and we don't understand where it's coming from. And it's the same for us, understanding our own emotion, our own trigger. And when going back to trauma, when he's talking about that, he is saying that when it's not healed, we will always get triggered by those things that remind us of whatever bothered us at the time. So the trigger always comes from something deeper that we need to heal and understand. So if we as parents can think about having that mindset and have that with our own children, we can address them. And it's not about fully protecting them, that nothing is going to ever happen to them. It's simply to be there with them, explaining to them what they're going through, because they're going to go through stuff and difficult challenges. We just need to give them the tool to know how to do that. We cannot just suppress it and say, you're not allowed to act like that. Yes, you are. You just need to do it like this. And maybe address it like that, because it's completely natural. Those emotions are natural. The way you act with them are different. That's something that you need to pay attention and to guide as a parent. And the last aspect that he to me changed the way I see things, it's the body and trauma. And the body will always find a way to communicate its needs, whether we pay attention or not. Highlight the connection between our physical and emotional being. So he is a psychiatrist who, for the longest time, he said he never paid attention to the emotional being aspect. When the patient was coming in front of them, he's assuming they already went through therapy. Now they're coming to me, they just need a medicine. And when he came across those different works or he was sharing the story of the fact that it was his patient that make him aware of those importance of seeing the emotional. And then he started doing his research, and then he wrote all those books about the body. When the Body Says No is one of the book talking about the different disease that is transpiring when your emotional being is low. And to me, when I was reading those things, I connected with it so much, because I do realize how we neglect those physical disease or physical condition and not linking with the emotional being of the person. When it's funny that we are not connecting them, because when we are stressed or when we are very anxious, we have sometimes some belly pain. Even the kids sometimes, I have a stomach pain, and there is something that is linked to the emotional. There is something, and sometimes for some kids it's because at school they get bullied, they have something they don't feel like going to school, something they are scared of. You need to go a little bit deeper. And when he's talking about all of the connection and the importance of paying attention to that, I completely connected with his work. I came across his work about 15 years ago. I don't even remember what was the first time I came across. I don't know if it's a video or the book, but the first book that I read was When the Body Says No. And when I'm looking at it and then I realized that he wrote one prior about addiction. I did not read this one, but I saw a lot of different podcasts talking about this topic of addiction and understanding. So for me, as a parent, those are the kind of skills that I think are important to know. The vocabulary, the word that we need to understand, the definition that we cannot keep on neglecting. And we need to address them and put them in our regular days to understand what is the impact we can have in our children. And what is we as parents are the key to anything that we can and help our children to go through different phases in their life. And we are the key in a different phase. Me as a mom, I have my role at one point for my son, for my daughter. My husband has his role with my son, with our daughters. We have to pay attention of what it is that they need from me as a mom, and with my son. What is it that they need in that phase of their life, when they're 10 years old, when they're 12, 14, 15, 18? What is it? And that's the work. That's the hard work that we're talking about when we say parenting is hard. Yes, parenting is hard. It's extremely challenging. And the reason is because every individual is different. We are different. We need to know it. We need ourselves, and we are even trying to figure it out, trying to understand our own trigger, so we can explain what's going on with that. So we can just educate ourselves and educate our children about how to master those emotions. So I just wanted to honor Gabor Mate, because actually this month is his birthday. And I was thinking, you know what? It's Gabor Mate's birthday, and I just want to honor his work, because he literally changed the way I parent, changed the way I understand myself, and the way I can understand my parenting journey. And I just wanted to share that, because that's really what I love doing. I love when we started those conversations of what it is that first Did you know him? And if you didn't, you're welcome, because this is going to be a beautiful discovery. Go look at on YouTube on all his work. One of those videos about addiction is just so beautiful. So beautiful, the way he approached it, so much compassion. And I feel like the world need to have a children growing up with beautiful compassion. Leadership needs to have compassion. Leadership needs to have vulnerability. If we don't have those things, there is no growth, because there is this ego in front of us that block everything. Just take away all of that, be vulnerable, full of compassion, and let's raise our children to be like that, so they can lead, so they can serve, so they can have an impact in the world. But for that, it needs to start with us and the work we do with us. So if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel and spread it to, if you enjoy it, and we can continue working and sharing a different insight that we have in our parenting journey. We want to find clarity, confidence, peace, and joy in our parenting. The goal is in us, because with that, we are spreading the environment that is needed in the house. With our own clarity, confidence, peace, and joy, we are spreading it in the house. Then we're spreading it in the community. And then we are spreading it in the world. So just, hey, if you enjoy it, hit the subscribe button. Put any comment of which one were you familiar with, and which are the definition that you appreciate. What are the different insight that you had. So I will see you next time, and thank you very much. Au revoir.